This is Mac OS Ken.
It is said to be freezing at Apple corporate. Interesting 5G news for Apple. And the Mac shines in a lackluster quarter. It is Thursday, the 3rd of November, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get 50% off your order when you visit simplisafe.com/macOSKen today. This show is also sponsored by Rocket Money. Have you added up how much you're paying for subscriptions lately? Probably not, and that's not surprising. They're set it and forget it kind of things. If you're worried, though, that you have actually forgotten about subscriptions you have, Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, can help. The Rocket Money app shows you all of your subscriptions in one place. If you see some you don't use or actually did forget about, Rocket Money can take care of them. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/MOK. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/MOK. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/MOK. Apple's pace of hiring has slowed to a trickle. That is the word from Business Insider. It's kind of not news in a way. Since the summer, the report says, Apple has touted its deliberate decisions about investment and hiring, including on its most recent quarterly earnings call last week. But three sources with close knowledge of conversations at the company told Insider Apple has paused almost all hiring. One source says Apple has designated no budget for new hires in the coming year. Another characterizes what's happening as a hiring freeze. The third secret so-and-so sounds less dire, but only by degrees. That one says they've heard from a high-ranking divisional leader that budgets are under review. It's icky, but it's not new news. The Business Insider piece quotes Apple CEO Tim Cook saying on an earnings call earlier this year, "We believe in investing through the downturn, and so we'll continue to hire people and invest in areas, but we are being more deliberate in doing so in recognition of the realities of the environment." Business Insider says that sentiment was echoed this week. An Apple spokesperson told the publication, "We are continuing to hire, but given the economic environment, we're taking a very deliberate approach in some parts of the business. We are very confident in Apple's future and are investing for the long term. We want to be thoughtful and make smart decisions that enable us to continue fueling innovation for the long term." The real issue may be how many degrees from freezing. The piece says all three sources who spoke to Insider suggested that Apple would continue to be cautious in how it characterizes hiring pauses or slowdowns, because conceding such moves could put a further dent in the company's stock price. Interesting. You'd think investors would reward Apple for prudence. Wall Street's funny. An interesting bit of news about Apple from Qualcomm on Wednesday. It looks like Apple will not be making its own 5G modems for the next round of iPhones. Christina Parstanevelis, a NASDAQ correspondent for CNBC with a focus on semiconductors, was listening in on Qualcomm's September quarter earnings report. As that was happening, she tweeted out that Qualcomm expects to have the vast majority of share of 5G modems for the 2023 iPhone launch. Qualcomm had been expecting to hitch a lift in just 20% of Apple's 2023 communicators. Hearing that news, one might immediately assume that Apple is having trouble making 5G modems of its own. Certainly that could be the case. At the same time, Qualcomm offered December quarter guidance that disappointed Wall Street. They gave a few reasons for the lower guide. They included weakness in demand for handsets and Internet of Things that is being exacerbated by lockdowns in China, according to the correspondent. As a result, Qualcomm is sitting on an excess of inventory. Apple may be having trouble making 5G modems of its own. Then again, Qualcomm may have played let's make a deal with the Cupertino company. Heck, who knows? Might have been both. Apple is set to flip the switch on 5G for iPhones in India soon. 9 to 5 Mac highlights a report from the Indian Express that has Apple saying that virtual switch will be thrown with the release of iOS 16.2. That said, folks using an iPhone 12, iPhone 13, iPhone 14, or a third-generation iPhone SE can try it out sooner than that. According to the report, Apple users on Airtel and Jio who participate in the beta software program will be able to try out 5G after an update next week. Strategy Analytics has had a look at laptop shipments for the September quarter. The firm's finding: it was a great quarter for Apple and a bad one for every other laptop maker. That is the word from Apple Insider. That Apple did well is not surprising. The company said on last week's earnings call that Mac revenue was up 25% versus the same quarter a year earlier, hitting a record $11.5 billion. That was driven in part by the launch of the M2-powered MacBook Air and MacBook Pro, as well as by pent-up demand due to production problems back in the spring. Though Apple doesn't give unit numbers and doesn't break out revenue for laptops versus desktops, Strategy Analytics seems happy to play that game. By the firm's reckoning, first-place Lenovo shipped 12.8 million laptops, a decline of 16% year-on-year. Second-place HP shipped 9.5 million laptops, a decline of 32%. Third-place Dell shipped 9.1 million units, a drop of 25% year-on-year. Fourth-place Apple shipped 8.1 million laptops by the firm's estimation, an increase of 26% year-on-year. Fifth-place Asus shipped 4.3 million units, a fall of 16%. And the big gray blob of others also declined, falling 17% on estimated shipments of 12.2 million laptops. Overall, the piece says the firm figures the global market for laptops declined 15% year over year, with the Mac being the only bright spot. Do not expect a repeat this quarter. Apple Computers had a gangbuster December 2021 quarter, thanks in part to new machines. With none of those coming this quarter, plus the foreign exchange headwinds, plus the macroeconomic uncertainties, Macs may do better than others, but execs telegraphed a decline in Mac revenue on last week's September quarter call. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Simply Safe. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why the good folks at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system. All the stuff I've told you I love about Simply Safe is there. You getting to choose just the parts you need to keep your home and family safe. You setting it up yourself. No strangers traipsing in. Just an easy setup that took me well under an hour. And there's the 24/7 monitoring team that sends emergency services as soon as a threat is detected for less than $1 a day. Simply Safe is offering all of that at 50% off so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Simply Safe was named Best Home Security System of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for a third year in a row, and now you can have it for less. Don't miss your chance for massive savings on a great security system. Get 50% off any new system at simplysafe.com/macOSKen today. This is their biggest discount of the year. SIMPLI. That's simplysafe.com/macOSKen. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Senator Elizabeth Warren wants everybody to keep an eye on Apple, Google, and Amazon as they roll into the automotive game. Mac rumors had the Massachusetts Democrats sending a letter to antitrust officials at the Federal Trade Commission and the Justice Department requesting that they investigate big tech's expansion into the automotive industry. While she does note Amazon's attempt at self-driving cars, indications in the piece are that she's particularly concerned with Apple and Google and the inroads they've already made with CarPlay and Android Auto. According to the report, the senator claims that Apple and Google's expansion into cars threatens to spread anti-competitive mobile app markets practices to automobiles, citing in-app purchase requirements and the fact that CarPlay and Android Auto apps must be approved by Apple and Google respectively before being allowed into vehicles. The senator expresses worry that the big tech players will stifle a nascent industry. She's also said by Mac rumors to be concerned that the companies are setting themselves up to be a one-stop shop for automakers for data collection, cloud storage, analytics, in-car navigation, voice assistance, and autonomous driving collection. The report goes on to say Warren is asking the FTC and the DOJ to use their authority to address concerns as they emerge and prevent further overreach by big tech companies. She says that without proactive and rigorous oversight, Google, Apple, and Amazon will bring their anti-competitive, anti-consumer, and anti-labor practices to the automotive sector. The number of unionized Apple stores appears to have grown by 1. Engadget cites a report from the Herald in Scotland saying workers at an Apple store in Glasgow voted on Wednesday to unionize. The piece says workers at the city's Buchanan Street store voted overwhelmingly in favor of union. How did Apple take it? About the same. While the Cupertino company did not respond to a request for comment from Engadget, it did tell Scotland's Herald, "We have long been committed to providing an excellent experience for our customers and teams. Apple is one of the highest-paying retailers in Scotland, and we've regularly made enhancements to our industry-leading benefits as a part of the overall support we provide to our valued team members." See? About the same. Assuming the vote is certified, Engadget says the Buchanan Street location will be the UK's first unionized Apple store. And finally today, I'm not sure why, but I am catching the holiday mood a bit early this year. I saw Christmas candy before Halloween and actually got excited instead of angry. I intentionally listened to my first Christmas song of the season yesterday, Someday at Christmas by Stevie Wonder, in case you're wondering. And I have watched the latest trailer for the Apple TV Plus film Spirited at least a couple of times. Spirited is the latest comedy musical take on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, starring Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, and Octavia Spencer. It hits theaters in a little over a week, Friday, the 11th of November. Starts streaming 1 week after that, Friday, the 18th of November. I anticipate watching it more than once this holiday season, and I make no apologies for that. If you want to see why there is a brand new official trailer out now, you can, of course, catch it on YouTube. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, when it comes to paying artists, which streaming music service is the best? TMO writer Nick DeCorville joins me to look at the complexities around that question. Plus, Amazon has a new music offering for Prime members that sounds like a thing. It is a big music day on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Rocket Money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and save at rocketmoney.com/MOK. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get 50% off your order when you visit simplysafe.com/macOSKen today. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.